Has some clear water right now. Came down enough. That big boulder that's usually behind me when I'm on the quad, making videos, that's just the top of the boulder, just the top of the water. You can come down a little more, but this is some clear water, man. And no fish biting, so I made my way across the river. So that direction downriver is where the quad usually sits. I'll give you a 360, why not? Ready? All right, now, what do we got? So down there is where the beach is parked back in there, where you got the quad. And then that's all the timber that I face. There's the downed tree. You usually see in the background. Timber, river, big slow pool here, and then it dog legs left and goes up that way. That's where I came from, over there. And there, let's try this. Hold on. Then farther up is where those falls are, where I caught that first steelhead this year. But anyway, where to start? Last week, a friend of mine, I won't say their name, I'll say their first name, not where they live. But Kent, you sent me that package with your father's maps and those bones. I remember you showing me those bones, and I couldn't figure out who sent that package. And then Sarah told me who it was. I guess you were talking to her on the social media. And what an honored gift to pass on, Kent. I absolutely appreciate that. For all you people, there's a friend of mine I met through all of this, and they've had quite extensive experiences with these beings near, let's just say, southwestern British Columbia. I believe Kent's wife seen one up top above the mountain above their place over the lake, waved at him. He's seen one in the lake there. They've had footprints in their garden, pulling the carrots out, eating the carrots, slammed against their cabin. And Kent as well had, I got your message here. I'll read it to everybody. Well, I won't read the whole thing, but I think what you explained before was when you would be venturing near where they were hunting and harvesting bears, they would leave a bone, the exact same bone, bear bone, I think, and I think it's the forearm, one of the forearm bones, I believe. Anyway, these beings would leave Kent a bone on the same stump, I think you said, Kent, or rock. I'll check this message you sent Sarah. I'm gonna lean this camera up on the tripod. I'm in the middle of the water. There's nothing I can do here with the rod. So, try this. Anyway, I'll show everybody the bones. Then a bunch of them are uniform size, and then all of a sudden there's a great big, huge jumbo one. I'll read the message. Read the message. Not all of it, some of it. All right, I left a few notes for the bones. The boogers at the so-and-so spot had a weird way of killing bears. Only some hide, and one of these four-leg bones was ever found for each animal I found, 2018. The remains were always recent. They would always try to gently shoo me out of that kill zone where they hunted, or were protecting their nursery area. They clearly display a method of dispatch I did not figure out. Each of those leg bones is from a separate bear, and all were killed within 500 meters of our cabin, except the jumbo one. It came from Upper Hat Creek. Upper Hat Creek, that's quite a ways away from them, and I used to trap wolves up there for a rancher at the head of that Upper Hat Creek. But it was the same method. The bones showed that the dispatch could come from either side. Steve, I saw them all in 2020. Oh, Steve saw them all in 2020, I thought maybe. Yeah, I did. Kent, you pulled them out of the bag and showed me when I stopped by. It would be of interest for a tutorial or something, but he could pitch them if there's no benefit. Okay, gotcha. Stuff you can't take with you to Latin America, where we are retiring. Well, that's news. That's unexpected news. Anyway, what else I'm going to pass on real quick is the question. All right, Kent, I get a lot of texts from people I haven't a clue who's texting me. A lot of a lot of strange numbers come up on my feed, and I don't reply to them. If I don't have a name beside a number that's texted me, I do not reply. And this new phone did not pick up all my old contacts through the cloud or whatever the hell it is. I don't know what's going on. But if your last two numbers of your phone number is 26, text me again as soon as you hear this, all right? Now, moving along, so I'll show you, once I get back, if I can remember, I'll grab the bag of bones, I'll show them to you guys again, we'll zero in on them, and more importantly as well, I'll show you the video of me opening up that package from my friends, all right? Latin America, envious. All right, I got the hiccups. Pre-warned, I got the hiccups. And somebody sent another package in. And just so you guys know, I don't encourage people to send me stuff, all right? I've always been a little awkward receiving gifts in life. I don't know, well, I probably kind of know why, but it's just a little awkward for me. But I don't encourage people to do this, although I do appreciate it. It's very, very, very kind. And I don't know, what more can I say? I think Sarah was involved in this one. Spoke to the person who wanted to send something here to us, or me, or whatever. Anyways, here it is. Let's see what we got. Hopefully it doesn't blow up. So I have not a clue what this is. That's in there. There's a folder in here, and it is in here.
Gentle.
Oh wow, so these are a bunch of old maps. Buttle Lake, Butyl Lake. Interesting. Alright, so we have a whole pile of old maps, by the looks of it. BC fishing districts? BC Inland Sport Map. Fishing district? Okay, so we got a whole bunch of maps. Something in bubble wrap. The maps are interesting to me. I'll have to go through them. There's a whole pile of them. Hopefully
You
this
thought that they would make an interesting wallpaper in your man cave.
For sure they would.
But there's a story with them.
Oh yeah?
Should have read it first.
Is there something to read?
Well, in my box. Inbox.
In an email? Bones. I need some glasses to read this. Okay, that's a weird bone. Does this have something to do with what we think it has something to do with?
Those I don't know. I'll have to go back and read.
Oh, he wrote on the plastic with felt pen, but most of it's wore off. That sucks. Okay, there's a bone here that doesn't even make sense to me. This one right here. The bag. Alright, so you can see the bag. He wrote a note in felt pen on here to me. But most of it's wore off. I can't read it. Hold on, get this red background on it. Alright. Alright, we're gonna have to look into the inbox of the emails, right?
Yep.
So I get up to speed of what I'm looking at and what I'm dealing with. Because if this is, we'll have to get back and film more of that shortly. And there's no note for me. So you got it?
Yeah.
You have a note?
Well, he was inboxing me.
So you've got the details in an email.
Yes.
Okay. All right, we're gonna go. We're gonna share everything I can as soon as I make sense of all this. Okay. But this looks like it's quite the gift, especially all these maps. That's very, very thoughtful. Very appreciative of that, and I will definitely be using those in the man cave without a doubt. And let's get some more details, and then we'll film some more in a minute. What else? All right, I got some sad news. Some not so good news I'll save for the end. In the meantime, we got to take advantage of this time right now to get some people's voices heard. It's very important to me and to those people who email in, right? So I'll scroll down 5 miles in the list, see who's been missed. So many. All right, here we go. This is titled Lumni, Lumni, Forest Service / lengthy sharing. All right, let's get her going. Hi Steve, fond of your name. My father and brother both share the same name. I stumbled across your channel on YouTube, needing a break from watching politics during our lockdown. Funny, I first watched a show with a group of 4 guys and a woman in search of Bigfoot. I was shocked how they belittled people who shared their stories as if they were lying, just to get attention or something. After watching a couple of those videos, I clicked on your site. I haven't left. I had to go back and catch up on all your videos you have shared, and so many got my hair standing up on end. I've learned so much and have gotten answers to so many unexplainable experiences I've had in my life. I'm so relieved to finally have explanations to a lot of weird things that have happened to me in my lifetime. Never doubted that Sabe was real. I always thought they were human. From watching the first 35mm movie caught a woman Sabe walking through a logging area. I was 10 years old when I first saw that on TV in '67. I thought back then they lived deep in the forest somewhere far away from me, so I never gave much thought, except when it was reported that footprints were found casted and how people were trying to prove they were fake. I wondered why they would do that. Other than that, I was too busy with my horses and critters to take an interest. My family lived next door to a big game hunter and houndsman who used horses and walker hounds. His name was Burley Forrest. One of my older sisters and I would go over to watch bullfights on Saturday nights with the Forrests, then listen to Burley's hunting stories. By the time we headed home every Saturday night, we ran like 2 racehorses to get home before a grizzly bear or mountain lion would get us, even though grizzly bears were killed out in California in the 1940s. Burley was a federal hunter. He got called out to a lot to hunt down rogue bears and cats, so he had some scary stories. He influenced our interest in wildlife, forest, hunting, trail riding, and packing, etc. In 1970, my family moved from Orange County, California to El Dorado County, California. There was forest everywhere. When I turned 18 in 1975, I was working graveyard shifts and was driving home at 3 a.m. My '64 Ford Falcon on Highway 50, heading east to Placerville, California. It was a dark night, no moon. I was alone on the highway doing about 70 miles per hour when from the side of the highway, a 40-plus pound White River rock came flying at me. A huge rock. It was going to kill me. Everything went into slow motion as the rock was just 24 inches from impact. I watched in horror as the rock went from a downward descent. It suddenly got lifted up a foot, then slammed into the chrome trim around my windshield, right above my head. I then heard it slide across the top of my car. I watched it hit the ground behind my car, and it broke up into several large pieces when it hit the pavement. I could see it due to my brake lights. It all happened so fast, yet so slow. I felt like I was in the twilight zone, stomped on the gas pedal, and kept going, shook up, beat my speed record getting home. I told my dad the next day and showed him the huge dent in the chrome trim and the scratches across the top of my car. My dad looked at me, gave me a big hug, and said, "Out of all my kids, You're the one, the daughter that has escaped doubt the most. I had to agree with him because it's true. He then blamed me for 8% of the gray hairs on his head, lol. That's more than likely true, too. I never could explain how a 40-plus pound river rock could be launched at my car or who launched it at me. I couldn't figure out how a 40-pound rock could ever defy gravity and suddenly go up a foot in less than a second. In my mind, it was an intentional lift. I was 18 years old when that happened in 1975. I didn't start working for the FS until I turned 20. I'm 64 years old now, and because I watch your videos, I've heard stories of other people having huge rocks thrown at them, their cars, boats, and tents. I even saw a picture shared of a large log launched through a windshield of a pickup truck, resting on the passenger seat while it was still stuck through the windshield. Yeah, that was actually sent in to us by that guy. I finally knew without a doubt what kind of a person attacked me with a 40-pound river rock. Thank God my life didn't end that night. I know this is long, so I'll end my share, but it's just the beginning of my experiences and what I have learned and what I now understand. Thank you for having the courage to open this topic up and sharing. It has unlocked memories and helped me a bunch to figure out my puzzle. I'm so sorry to hear about Mr. Macaroni. I understand the grief. I've lost some longtime partners through my life of such friendship. Horses are like no other, and they never leave your heart. God bless you and keep you out of harm's way. Happy hunting. More stories coming your way. K. Mac. Okay, Kristen. Thanks for that email. That's a little different flavor. I haven't heard of a rock changing course when I was flying through the air yet. That's the first one for my ears. Thanks for that share. Man, the sun's blasting me from the water. Keep going. All right, this is titled The Others, My Experience. Hi, Steve. Hope this email finds you well, and I have the correct address. I just randomly saw a couple of your videos on YouTube, the Bigfoot ones, and yes, I subscribed. I want to share with you something I've never told anyone before. It felt wrong until now. Plus, you've heard so many stories like this, you're probably one of the only people who would believe it anyways. We're the crazy ones, right? Well, hold on, this gets pretty deep. All right, here it goes. I was pretty young, about 12, when I had my encounter. To be honest and fair, as a young girl, I had quite the imagination, and I'm still very creative. But I also spent lots of time alone, being the only girl in the family. Regardless, I know my experience was not only real, but truly amazing. I was born and raised in Minnesota. I will never leave. I love it here. I love the outdoors. Anything hunting, fishing, four-wheeling, jet skis, snowmobiling. I garden, you get it. Anyways, my parents would take me and my 3 brothers on a camping trip every summer to Grand Marais National Park up by Lake Superior in an area known as the Gunflint Trail. This was raw camping. I'm talking tents, bathing in the river, fishing for dinner, all that. Like I said, I was an adventurous, precocious child, and being the only girl, sometimes I wandered through the woods, usually with our family Dalmatian by my side, Annie. Well, it was the summer that 90s movie, The Blair Witch Project, came out. So I started to pretend one day that I was the witch of the woods. I started moving rocks and sticks, carved my initials in some trees with my pocket knife, etc. I only realized that I wandered a little too far from the campsite when Annie didn't want to follow me anymore. She just stopped and started to whimper. So naturally, I started walking her back. As soon as I turned around, I heard something in the woods move, like someone was watching me and didn't want to get caught. The energy did feel slightly eerie now that I think about it, but fearless me figured it was just another animal, so I kept walking. Then I heard what sounded like a child crying. I looked back quickly, but it was no child. I caught something moving and we made eye contact and both froze for a few minutes, maybe moments. I felt like a long time. I was locked in on something almost human. It had a humanish, furry face and was very tall as a moose or a bear on its hind legs for sure. Yet as it moved through the trees, I didn't see its legs or arms. It was like a floating head from what I could make out. I wasn't afraid, even as it watched me from the trees. I'll never forget its eyes. I also remember clear communication and his thoughts going through my mind that I don't think could have come from me. More on that later. It was almost like it wanted me to come towards it or wanted to tell me something. Maybe even protect me from something? I don't know. But I was very drawn to it. I would have gotten closer, but my dog wasn't having it. She was growling like I had never seen before. Sometimes I wish I would just let my dog run back alone so I would connect with this creature, but we ran and eventually got back safe. However, I think it followed me. Now we had 3 days, 2 nights of camping left. I heard these cries calling out almost all of that same night, but no one else in my family heard it when I brought it up at breakfast, so I shrugged it off. The following day, I was washing something for my mom in the river, and a moose came about 50 feet from me to get a drink from the river. But this moose was different. Trust me, I've seen a lot of them up there. It had really long hair in weird places, like patches of fur, and it stopped before to me and held eye contact with me for an uncomfortable amount of time. Then it just walked back into the trees. So what, right? A shedding moose, probably. However, it had the exact same eyes as my beastly friend in the forest. It felt like it came to say a sad goodbye. This creature only made itself known to me, and the river was the last time I saw it. I hoped for the next few summers I'd see it again, but no luck. It kind of makes me feel special sometimes, like we understood each other, both just taking a peaceful little vacation in the woods. I hear other people say they were so terrified and they felt threatened or aggression, but I think it all depends on who you are and what your intentions are during these encounters. They don't seem to like men, cameras, electronics, hunters, or anyone who does damage to the earth. I believe these beings can shapeshift, have telepathic powers, and can appear and disappear at will, either through jumping in and out of another dimension, or they can make themselves invisible to the human eye. Now for the messages put in my head in the forest. This is definitely my clearest memory of it all. It's hard to explain because it was somehow communicating not with just words, but pictures and emotions all at once. The basic message, I'm definitely paraphrasing here, was, don't be afraid. We are gentle creatures that once dominated the earth as your kind does now. We are the same, like ancestors. Due to a devastating event, they had to leave. They were saved, but have been away for a very long time. They want to come home, but we're keeping them from doing so because they do not agree with how we live. So for now, they only get short vacations here. I saw a world much more green and lush. I felt such sadness because it warned me that our world is out of balance with nature. I felt fear of a higher power, like they're no longer in control of their own destiny anymore and crave freedom. Their bodies didn't evolve like ours when they were away, but their brains and senses evolved very quickly. They can feel the plants and the earth, and they know every inch of their surroundings instantly. Definitely vegetarians, but also fish, or just love water. I'm not sure on that one. Hunting and searching for them is useless because we are loud and clumsy in the forest. Any encounters with them are on their terms because they're never surprised. They sometimes scare us on purpose for fun, and they have total control of all encounters. My thoughts on it over the last 20 years? Maybe we're next. New, shiny model on the outside, but they are far more advanced within. Maybe I've never told anyone about this because I feel complete empathy and understanding for these creatures. Or maybe I'm hoping to see my friend again someday, and I didn't want to betray them. And maybe they just want to be left alone when they're vacationing on their home planet. I was lost to them. Whew. Okay, thanks for listening. That felt good to finally share. You can share this or read it to people if you like. Just please don't share my info. You're welcome to address me as Kate if necessary. Best, Kate. Okay, Kate. Oops, I just lost that. Shit. Yeah, of course I would share your info, and thanks for that share. And it is definitely paralleling, I don't know how many other people have emailed basically some of the same points. Take from it what you will, you guys, or leave it. There's a missing piece to your puzzle in there, grab it up. Alright, this one sounds alarming. Neighbor's horse was up in a tree. Hi, Steve. Thanks for reading my other email, my encounter in 1980, and my friend's encounters on the New River Gorge that last about 8 years for a week long every year. I'll keep these as brief as possible. I have permission to use names. I tell you these because 2 of these happened on the same property as my first encounter. My sister recently told me that when she was playing Spotlight at night as a kid, her and her friends were chased out of the woods when they thought someone was throwing rocks and limbs at them. It appeared frequently, but they never went back after they saw it stand up one night. It was very dark, very large, and very hairy. She said it was about 8 to 10 feet tall. This happened to her after I had left for the military and never heard the story until recently. I start with that encounter now on this property where I was chased out of the woods in 1980. My sister later on as a kid now lives my neighbor who has built a house there. On this property at the top of the hill is an old graveyard where my neighbor kept his horse. I've been away from this property for 20 years and recently moved back into my house where I grew up as both my parents had passed, and now I live in it again with my wife and kids. When I moved back, I ran into my neighbor the first week and was joking around with him. I asked him, "What's the strangest thing that's happened while I was gone in 20 years?" His response is matter of fact, straight-faced, and very simple. He said, "I found my horse dead in the fork of the tree on the top of the ridge." He said the horse was going crazy one day and he could hear it at the house at the bottom of the hill. It kept making a noise and would not quit, so he started walking to the top of the ridge. When he started heading up the hill, the horse went quiet. He could not see the horse from the bottom of the hill and didn't know what was going on. He said when he got to the top of the ridge, he found the horse in the fork of the tree. Its front legs were through the fork dangling on one side, and its rear legs were about 2 feet off the ground on the other side. He said it looked like someone had just picked the horse up and set it in the fork of the tree. Apparently the horse is struggling to get out, and he had beat its head on the forks of the tree trying to free itself. The horse died before he could get to the top of the ridge. This is in broad daylight, but out of the sight of people. After he told me the story, he then said it was the craziest thing he had ever seen in his life. He could not understand how it got up there, but said it was like someone just picked it up and set it up there. 3 encounters on the same property in a 30-year period. The last one I'll pass along is from my friend from church. We had spoken many times about the strange things in Scripture, and she made comments about my encounter. In May 2020, in the heat of the coronavirus, she took her grandson hiking at Grayson Lake in Carter County, Kentucky. She was the only car in the parking lot as people were not out and about. She and her grandson were about a quarter mile on the walking trail, and she said that she started to feel sick. In her mind, she said she could feel someone watching them, and her red flag went up, and she grabbed her grandson and pulled him close. At that moment, she said out of the corner of her eye, she saw something on 2 legs, very dark and very large, running through the woods parallel to the walking path. She said it was about 25 yards away. She said that she grabbed her grandson and told him to run to the car and not look back. After she got home, she messaged me about the encounter. Grayson Lake in Carter County, Kentucky has had multiple sightings, even by state police and sheriff's department in the county. The lake is 30 minutes from my house. Like I said, after 1980 and my encounter, I consistently ask others about strange occurrences that happen around here. I have a couple more to report, and they are all just as strange as the last, but trying to not take up too much time. Thanks again for the ability to get this info out. You can use my name anytime, Doug Messer, Flatwoods, Kentucky. Doug, thanks for that, man. Your name sounds familiar. Keep them coming, all right? Keep them coming. Man, it's never gonna end, right? It's never gonna end. What's gonna come of all this in the end? I guess time will tell. Something's coming. It's like anything else. If you keep on drilling the information out to the public non-stop, shit happens. If you shut your mouth, it goes away. It's so bizarre how many people want me to shut up. It's kind of really weird. Also, it's funny, I just get the odd attack right out of the blue where people finally finally need to attack me. And they try to insult me or belittle me in a way. So usually it's A lot of hunters have been doing that lately too. They'll just take this time, so they finally got the guts to lash out at me for some weird reason, and they always add in. They try to belittle me with reading Bigfoot stories, right? Thinking that's some kind of a attack on my sanity, my intelligence, but it is what it is. It's kind of odd. I don't think I've ever gone somewhere on social media or YouTube, sought out a topic that makes me angry, and then gone out of my way to attack the person delivering the information. It's like this kind of like skip over it, right? But it is kind of weird how many people want these shares to go away. They want these shares to stop. It's kind of bizarre. I'd almost, in a way, once we get the podcast room set up in the shop, man cave, maybe possibly I can get some of these characters, or one of them or two of them, whatever, to have a discussion with me. And I just want to pick their brain. I want to find out what it is that makes them want this to stop. I'm just curious. I'm very curious about that, and that'll also help provide me with a missing piece to my puzzle too. I need to understand what it is that makes people want this sharing to stop. It's pretty weird, isn't it? Obviously, we can come up with a lot of answers for that. But in the meantime, what we got? This is titled "I Will Never Forget." None of us ever do. My name is Steven, and this is my story. I live in Kentucky, and I love to fish. Just like any other fisherman, I have a few favorite places to fish and favorite times of the year to fish them. For example, when I was younger, I loved to fish at Otter Creek Park in Meade County, right behind the lodge and the Ohio River, especially in the wintertime. The lodge sits on a hillside overlooking the Ohio River, where you can catch any species of fish Kentucky has to offer, with the exception of maybe one or two, depends on who you ask. It's Friday, end of work week, and ready to do my usual grab my buddy and head to the river, where I just explained, but this time was different for two reasons. One, me and my buddy were taking another friend with us for his first time. I won't say their names because they have no idea I'm telling the story and don't even talk to them anymore for different reasons. I'll get to the second reason why this time is going to be different shortly. This is about 26 years ago, and I remember it like it just happened. We all three met up to begin our weekend fishing that I was always pumped for and couldn't wait to begin. We were all dressed for the occasion, the cold, and arrived at the lodge to park and then hike down the trail to the river. We could park at the bottom by the river, but we'd get locked in if we did. Not a good idea, in case we needed to leave for an emergency or just want to leave so we always parked at the lodge and hiked 15 minutes down the hill. We gathered driftwood to burn as we get to our spot and gathered enough to last all night before we got our lines in the water. We would do this before fishing every time, just so we wouldn't have to collect wood through the night. We were catching fish just like always, and our first time buddy was really impressed with the fishing, even though it was so cold that when we would reel our lines in, we had to pinch the line in front of our reel to knock the ice out of our line before it went into the reel. I'm sure people that have fished in the winter know what I'm talking about, but with a pretty huge fire burning behind us, we stayed nice and toasty. At around midnight, the action slowed down and was only catching a fish here and there. This is going on for the next 2 hours. So now it's about 2 a.m. and we hear this rock sound like it teeter-totted, as if someone was walking over it. It sounded like a good-sized boulder that came from our right. I turned to look, and I saw this top-heavy looking thing walking on two legs, going towards the water about 30 yards away from us. When I say top-heavy, I meant this thing had a massive upper body, to the point it looked like out of proportion, as if its bottom half did not seem to be big enough for the size of its upper half. I'm not saying the bottom half was small either. It simply looked top-heavy, with no neck, and would say around 7 to 7.5 feet tall, and every bit of 500 plus pounds. When it reached the water's edge, I turned to my left and looked at my buddies and asked if they'd seen what I'm seeing. They both were saying, "Be quiet," and I responded back with, "It knows we're here. We have a huge-ass fire going behind us. There's no way it doesn't know we're here." And then I heard the splash. I turned back to my right, and it was in the river, which was freezing cold, and all I could see was the head of this thing above the water, So I grabbed my flashlight and was beaming it in the face, but couldn't really make out any features, but I noticed the eyes did not reflect the light. All they were was just pitch black. It went under the water for a couple of seconds and then it came back up, repeated this multiple times. He was down current. We were down current from this thing, and all I could do was, we were down current from this thing, and all I could think was the current was going to push it towards us. One of these times, when it goes under, it's going to pop up right in front of us. Now, not a single one of us said, "Let's go." We all three just started reeling our poles in one by one at the same time, never saying a word to each other. We're getting out of there, and fast. The next 15 minutes would be the most mind-chilling walk of my life. We had to hike back up this hill where this thing came from to get to our vehicle, and all I could think about was, what if there's another one? We're probably heading straight towards it. After the scary-ass hike, with my mind going crazy with scenarios like getting mauled by a tremendously large and thick creature that has absolutely no problem jumping in the freezing cold water, not knowing a damn thing about its capabilities or its purpose or even what it is, we made it to the vehicle alive. I'm still fearing something is going to happen as we are loading all of our gear. I could not get in the vehicle fast enough. It's about a 45-minute drive to get home, and it was so quiet the whole way, nobody said a single word. By now, I think you figured out the second reason this trip was different. After I had this experience, I would not and did not tell a soul for several years. I was not trying to be labeled crazy. In fact, I was trying to figure out if I was crazy because I just could not fathom what I had seen. It has burned an image into my brain that I'll never forget. Now that I've gotten older, I actually enjoy telling people my experience. I really don't give a damn what anybody thinks. I know I've seen something, I just don't know what it was. Call it Bigfoot, call it Sasquatch, call it whatever you want. It's just not on our species list yet. And welcome to the Club of No Return. And more people that never speak to each other or speak of it again after they witness it together. So bizarre. And I'm getting blinded by this sun blazing me on the reflection. I'll get it going. But a quick message. I came home yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think I came home after I took off to go steelhead fishing on a river 70 kilometers away from here. And Sarah's grandparents immigrated over here from Holland years ago. They landed in New Brunswick and they built this beautiful dairy farm. Don and Sarah's dad took it over. He's one of those way too proud, hard-working, kind people that put everybody before him. And they farm with the practices of feeding the animals more than they should, talking nicely to them, and give them love and affection, and raising them like a pet. And it actually produces more milk. It's a way that a lot of farmers have figured out over the years. And right now they're currently experiencing one of the nastiest winters they ever had. Snow. I think they've dumped 3 feet of snow in one night. Anyway, I know I've asked for help in the past with our friend Michelle, who's battling cancer currently, and everybody came to the call of help with her, and it's so appreciated. And Sarah's dad, there's nothing worse. He's one tough son of a bitch, right? But was a very strong, kind, hardworking man who puts everyone first, and he does not ask for help ever. He'd probably be a little pissed I'm doing this, but oh well. Their barn collapsed in the snowstorm a couple days ago, and it trapped a whole bunch of the cows. I'll post some pictures on here. And there's upwards of over $100,000 damage. And he's by himself, basically. He's got a couple kids there working for him. All Sarah and her brothers are all grown up and left and spread out all over Canada. And insurance is screwing him and will not cover it. And they're just getting ready, they're just getting to the age of retirement to boot. So now it's just a real sad thing to witness. So his sister has set up an account to help fund for anybody who wants to help. And I'm going to post a link for it in the video description below. And you know, the amount of people here watching, I know there's a pile of people in the world who need help. There's a lot of tough times going on everywhere right now. But I have to do this. I have to reach out to the world to possibly throw this kind man anything. Throw him a prayer, kind words, 50 cents. You know, if everybody here threw down 50 cents, it would sure help. It's very frustrating. It's frustrating when you can't travel to go there to help. That's very frustrating. But there's nothing worse than seeing such a strong, kind man break down out of absolute frustration. Anyway, before I get carried on too much about that, that's what I'm doing. I'm reaching out to everybody again to possibly help, if you would, or at least just send a prayer, some kind words, and I'll put the link below. And I will do this a handful of times, and we'll see if we can do something to help these kind people and help them get through this shit-eating time of life. I'm so frustrated I can't travel there. I can't go there to help because I'm a healthy human being who's being treated like a criminal in society today. That's a whole other topic, isn't it? But anyway, there you go, you guys. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna get moving. I gotta get across this river, get back home, and get things going. I have to do everything I can to try to help this man help this farm out and get it back on its feet, and do what we can do. And I will be back, and I will share more voices from the people, no matter what. And nobody's ever going to stop it, ever. Hopefully I'm going to get some time here fairly shortly to start blasting out more information that all of you are sending my way for the other channel, the True Warriors. All right? Truth Warrior, whatever we're going to call that channel, it's going to be what it's going to be. There's a lot to be shared. There's just so much to be shared, so much to be talked about and shared. People have got to start banding together and helping each other. It's got to be priority. And quit taking the bait to attack each other. Quit taking the bait to separate from each other. We got to help each other no matter what. No matter what, today. All right, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you so much. If you can help out this man.